Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
For God loved the world so much that he gave his only Son, so that anyone who believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Merry Christmas. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Wednesday. Good morning. And a good morning to you, Zeb at the Ranch. And I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Don't forget to get in there. More snow on the way for the next couple of days. Check out your traction tires. And, of course, also some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, without further ado, let's go to our phone lines for our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. Our pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One of our loyal lunch bunchers. Lorna, God bless you, and Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you. Have a great one.
I will. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Wonderful lady right there. Let's now go to the weather, and the weather brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for that blue door. Kyle and Whitney, they've got all your carpet, they've got all your flooring, they've got all your kitchen construction. You want to redo things, really spice things up, boy, they can help. All your home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home. Man, they're the best. Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Right now, here's the weather.
Enjoy today, because for the rest of the week it looks like it's going to be rainy and snowy. Mostly cloudy skies for today, expecting a high of 23, tonight low of 11. Tomorrow, 90% chance of snow showers are in the forecast, winds picking up out of the east, right around 15 miles an hour. High of 27, but an overnight low of 25. For Friday, rain showers are in the forecast, high of 41 with an overnight low of 31, expecting snow showers up in the higher elevations for Friday. Winds picking up on Saturday to about 20 miles an hour out of the southwest, partly cloudy skies, high of 35 with an overnight low of 23, and then for Sunday, partly cloudy and 34. Yesterday's high was 22, the overnight low was 8. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Hey, don't forget it's going to be girls' night, gals' night out at Cheney Flooring and Home Design on this December 9th, coming up on Friday at 6 p.m. Boy, the cost is only $12, so be sure and be at Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, and look for the blue door. Oh, my goodness, we got a lot of things to talk about this morning, and I've got some outstanding guests that are going to be on the program this morning. And I want to mention that at 10:06, we're going to do a complete hour tribute to Pearl Harbor Day remembrance. So we are honored to have representatives of the Navy that are going to be here, George Mass and Larry Cottam, and we're going to be discussing exactly what happened on December 7th, 1941, and we're very honored to have them come on the program. Merry Christmas wishes. I'm going to sneeze in a minute. I can't help it. I've got something up my little tickly nose, and I'm going to sneeze. Stand by. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. You can save on steel buildings. All you need to do is call Tim Vaughn and the rest of the crew, 678-9204. They wish you a very Merry Christmas from Streamline Precision. Also, Magic Valley Irrigation. Jeff and the whole crew, oh my goodness, they say thank you to all the farmers and ranchers for producing all the food right here in Magic Valley. Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Merry Christmas. And Golden Valley Warehouse. They are always on the program when we ask them. I'll tell you what, they come by, and we certainly appreciate everything they do. And they want to thank all their customers for the business over the last year. And they say to you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Golden Valley Warehouse, 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The one thing I would like to start off with this morning is that it's cold outside this morning, and it got really, really cold last night. I think it got down to, let me take a quick look here if I may. I believe it was down here at about 15 or 14, and with the cold weather, it's hard on livestock. It's hard on pets. So please, I really urge you, I know my dear friend Ken Mort over at Minidoka Animal Control would agree too, make sure your dogs that are outside dogs, have shelter and water and just some place to go to get out of the elements, to kind of snuggle up and keep warm. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't hurt to throw a straw bale out there, or 2 or 3 or 4 for your cattle, your horses, etc., and just take care of them. They get chilly and cold just like you and me. Today is December 7th, a day that will live in infamy. As I said, we're going to have an hour-long tribute to Pearl Harbor Day at 10:06 this morning. Also want to remind you, too, about some of our great friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they are great friends. They've been riding the horse with us on this program for over 15 years, and I really appreciate them. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. With this colder weather, your furnace is being asked to step up to the plate and hit home runs for you every day. Well, make sure that the furnace filters are clean and efficient so that you can get all the heat out of your furnace. And by golly, they've got them all for you right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Okay, here we go. I know I'm going to make myself hungry right here. I want you to stop in to Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness. Let's talk a little bit about the Rudolph pancake breakfast. Listen to this. Fluffy buttermilk pancakes with turkey bacon antlers, topped with vanilla cream and chocolate eyes and nose, served with 2 eggs and hash browns. Oh, my. I wonder if they make home deliveries. Anyway, I'll tell you what, you stop in today at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. Next Thursday, on the 15th, we're going to be over there for an old-fashioned Christmas, broadcasting live and direct at Denny's. Come on in. It's going to be great. Thank you. Calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm still going to sneeze any minute, so bear with me. Big business news. Boy, it is big business news, too. And the left can't stand it. They are ready to jump out of basement windows. They are absolutely wringing their hands and tearing out their hair. Trump might be bringing a lot of big new business and dollars to the United States. A Japanese CEO met with Trump and wants to bring here to the United States billions, that's with a B, billions of dollars in a business that would hire, are you ready for this? 50,000 people, 50,000 new jobs. Oh, but of course, the left with Obama, the left with the likes of Pelosi. I got to take a sip of water. Hold on, folks. Sorry about that. But all the left is just, why, that's nothing. How dare he interfere? He's not even president yet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're just absolutely upset about this. And then Trump did something else, something unprecedented. He told Boeing Aircraft, well, you're telling me we have to have a new Air Force One, right? Yes, Mr. President. It's not just for you, but it's going to be for future presidents, too. And then Trump says something like, well, how much is the price tag? How much is the preliminary planning, which is like $4 billion to study what they're going to do with these planes? And Trump, as blunt as he is, which I like bluntness, he said, nope, too much, cancel the deal. I mean, that put the people at Boeing, I can just see it was like going into a wind tunnel. And they all ended up on their butts, resting on their hind pockets going, what? What did you say? Yeah, he said, cancel the deal. In other words, the art of negotiation was right in their face. When they give guesstimates of $4 billion of the planning stages of the new Air Force Ones and everything. Well, here, it's going to be $4 billion or such, and then we'll build the airplanes. And then you have the president-elect look him in the eye and say, cancel the deal, that's too much money. Guess who's got the pressure in the backcourt now? Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, I think the president's going to go, the president-elect is going to travel around in a Piper Cub. You know, that's what it sounds like.
No. You know, come on. Let's be fair to this situation.
Oh, let's be funny.
No, well, yeah, maybe funny, but it's not really funny because I see a lot of seriousness here, Keith. He's not trying to denigrate the use of Air Force One or lessen the safety and security of Air Force One in the future. I think what he's trying to show people is government wastes a lot of money every year, and at least he's standing up for it and saying to Boeing, sharpen your pencils, boys, because you're not going to have any kind of money you want carte blanche on new sheriffs in town.
They also receive funding from the U.S. government, a grant or whatever you want to call it, they give to Boeing.
Yeah.
Boeing doesn't need to holler.
Nobody...
What I wanted to talk about this morning, Zeb, is Pearl Harbor Day. But 60 years ago, when I was in the United States Navy, there was an island called Formosa. Now it is called Taiwan.
Right.
There was because we steamed off the coast of Indonesia for 60 days in 1958. That then became North Vietnam and South Vietnam.
Right.
You know, and we've changed so much. And the remains of the U.S. Arizona was a forecastle sticking up out of the water. Now it is a building. You wouldn't even know what it was, and most people don't even understand how many people lost their lives there. And they just have a building there.
Yeah.
I would have preferred them to leave it the way it was because it was a true reminder of the terrible thing that happened at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, over 2,400 lives were lost at Pearl Harbor December 7th. And later this morning at 10:06, we're going to be honored to do a remembrance. And Keith, I very, very, very much appreciate you bringing this up this morning. And God's blessings to you and Nancy. I've got to get another commercial break in, but thank you for your thoughts.
Sorry about the sarcasm.
No. I was giving you a hard time. That sarcasm, it was well-deserved. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right, sir. No. I was just going to give him a hard time because I'll tell you what, this whole thing is kind of sarcastic in a way against the Democrats. They are playing CYA, you can fill in the blanks, on the poor job that Obama has done, the poor job that Pelosi and Reid have done, and the poor job the rest of the Democrats have done nationwide. And honestly, I'm sitting here this morning, and I thought a lot about this over the last couple of days, and for the people I talked to back in Washington, D.C., or New York City, or Florida, it doesn't make any difference, across the United States to kind of get a feel for what's going on. I'm telling you that, without exaggeration, the business people I've talked to, the climate of their attitude has gone sunny with light winds and bright sunny skies. I'm telling you what, they look like and sound like things are going to get better. Attitude, as I've said, can outplay talent any time of the week. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Pro Paint, 1116 Overland Avenue in Burley, with Barbara and the whole crew at Pro Paint. The best stains, the best paint, featuring the PPG paint. I said it right today. And don't forget to go on in, get a gift certificate, and give it to somebody to really kind of spruce things up. Pro Paint, 1116 Overland Avenue in Burley, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Along with my friends at Snake River Auto Body and Paint. Man, these guys are really good. How do I know? Because they've done work for me. They are excellent. And all you got to do is call Kenny Rogers. He's the owner, and by the way, he's not the singer, but he will sing Christmas carols to you over the phone, I understand. Snake River Auto Body and Paint, 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. They are good. Give them a call, and they wish you and yours a Merry Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Deb. A good, crisp, cold morning to you.
Crisp and cold are not really the words I would use.
Well, anyway, hey, I used to live up in Everett, Washington, and I worked at the Everett Boeing plant.
Yeah.
I helped build the current two Air Force One and Two, the 747-400. If I remember right, I think that each one of those planes cost around $650 to $700 million when we had all the enhancements done. And now to hear that a replacement is going to cost 4 times as much? Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's definitely out of control. And I think Trump was right to do that. Tell them cancel it. Try again, buddy, and then we'll see what you come up with.
Yeah,
and today is Pearl Harbor Day. I actually had an uncle that was in the Navy in the Pearl Harbor area when they attacked in 1941, and he told me some stories, and they'd make the hair on the neck stand up.
Well, I appreciate your call, and we're going to talk more about this Boeing situation in the days ahead. But, sir, on behalf of everyone, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and for your thoughts this morning, thank you very much. That was very nice of you to call.
I wish you a very Merry Christmas, too. And I also served in 2 militaries. I served in the U.S. Army, and then I also served in the U.S. Coast Guard, and I loved it.
All right.
I got hurt, unfortunately. And so you all have, you and yours, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for your call, as always. I appreciate it. Thank you. I can't, and I never will, be a blowhard about costs on Air Force One, Air Force. I don't know that much about the costs. I don't know that much about the security systems. I don't know about the inflated costs, about whether it was built 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, or what the costs are going to be today. I do know this from the people I've talked to, that with the elevated security systems and having a plane, I understand this in layman's terminology, it was given to me by some people in D.C. yesterday, having a plane that can absolutely withstand the ravages, repercussions, and everything else of a nuclear war. That plane has to be in the air. That plane will be the, if you will, command post for anything and everything that current president of the United States needs to do. It has to have a security and communication system that is absolutely unbelievable, much of which we have no clue. But there again, businesses, any and all businesses that want to kind of pad the bottom line a little bit, I think it's great that we have somebody that is a businessman that will say, wait a minute, did you really sharpen your pencil on that? Let's put a hold on this until we go over the figures a little bit. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to be talking about LeBron James in just a moment, not as a basketball player, but as a person that I think has stepped out of bounds. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a minute, and I welcome your phone calls. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists, they are absolutely the best. Number to call to have them help you get back to being you, 678-1191. They know all the sports medicine, they know all the exercises, and they have the only hydrotherapy pool in the entire area. They are good. You better believe it, so give them a call today and set up an appointment. 678-1191, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Also want to remind you about Berry Equipment and Rental. Holy smokes, they've got all the equipment to get any job done right. 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And right now on the used rental Bobcat equipment, they're going to sell a lot of that, and you can get 0% interest on 48 months. You better get into Berry Equipment and Rental today. Yes, sirree, equipment rentals, retail equipment sales. That's true. They've got all the equipment to get the job done right. Berry Equipment and Rental. Jerome, Twin Falls, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I would have to briefly just say that on this Air Force One deal, that this same sort of process will go clear through the rest of our military spending on that hardware also.
Earl, let me ask you right there, though. I think we're going to see a more user-friendly administration for providing our troops better equipment and more equipment to get the job done. Don't you agree?
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
It'll make a lot of improvements, and to the manufacturers and their employees, they'll be more proud of what they're producing.
You know, that's an excellent point right there. More pride in what they produce, the products and goods and services. I believe you're 100% right, and I'm glad you brought that up, Earl. How are you up on the mountain this morning?
Well, I'm trying not to burn the bacon and overcook the egg.
Okay.
And the baked potatoes done, and I'm about 30 minutes to an hour late getting out the door.
Okay, well, gobble that fast and have a great day, and Merry Christmas to you, Earl.
You too. Right.
Thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't you go away. Don't get mad. Don't hang up. We'll be right there. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, what a lovely lady, Christine Pickup, the doctor of audiology. Now, you make an appointment. All you have to do is call 312-0957. And if you're having any hearing problems and you're going, what'd he say, Martha? Then, hey, right now before the Christmas holidays and New Year's and all the families getting together and everything and people are going to be talking, get your hearing checked with the hearing screening. Let her help, and she can. Dr. Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. You call today, 312-0957. Oh, and by the way, don't forget our wonderful friends at Sophie's Chatterbox. Golly, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. They've got the best of bakery. They got the best of a restaurant. And if you want cookies and other things made for Christmas, you'd better call 436-0354. 436-0354. It is good. Sophie's Chatterbox. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Well, hi.
Hey, I think that we need to talk about the Boeing airplane. I have a nephew who is one of the lead engineers, and he says that, of course, Boeing does it the very best. And do we want Boeing to leave our country and take their industry out of this country? Because they do hire Americans and they do use American material. Now, I am proud of Trump for saying that's expensive because I think that he promised he was going to be more careful with America's money. And maybe we need to look into all the specs that they're putting in that airplane. Could be that they thought, well, for Air Force One, we'll just go all out. But I'm sure they will consider less is best.
You know, I'm really glad you brought that up. I know that I heard a comment this morning that there is another competitor that would love to have the contract for Air Force One and Air Force Two, and that's the company called Airbus. And they also put out an outstanding product. But, you know, the whole thing is, Chris, and I think you'll agree with this, competition. Competition is what has made America great. And when we start having competition, all of us are going to benefit from it.
Right, right. And I think that Boeing is aware of that. Now, where is Airbus from?
Well, I'm not exactly sure of the origin. I think it was a former European company that has outlets around the world, but they do a wonderful, wonderful job in producing their product also. I don't have the history or the, the descendants of who started it where, but I know that Airbus builds an outstanding airplane, and they are standing in the wings and would like to have that contract.
Well, and there again, get competition going. That's what made America great.
Absolutely.
And I guess if Boeing is looking to being second after Airbus, they may sharpen their pencils.
Well, I appreciate. How's everything over at your home this morning?
Snowy.
Have you got your Christmas tree up?
Yes, I love this weather.
Oh, okay.
My husband, he's a farmer. He's letting the land rest.
All right. Well, God bless you, and Merry, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there, I promise. Hang tough just for a second. Don't forget Streamline Precision with my buddy Tim Vaughn. Boy, now is the time to call and say, Tim, work us up a bid on a brand new pre-engineered steel building. We need it for our dairy, our ranch, our business, our farm, whatever the case might be. They've got all the Nucor, Prime, and Sukup steel buildings. And Dairyman, now's the time. If you need new feed lanes or mangers replaced, now's the time. Right now, call them at 431-7314. Streamline Precision and my buddy Tim Vaughn, they are waiting for your call. Also, real quick, Doug Martin. Hello, Doug. Doug's alternator and starter repair, 635 21st Street, which is Alfresco Road. You know that, over in Hayburn. And the number to call, 878-4991, or after hours, 431-5282. Doug wishes everybody a Merry Christmas. And don't forget, he specializes in starters, alternators, generators, excuse the cough, he can rebuild or provide you brand new. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair on a Fresco Road in Hayburn, wishing you a Merry Christmas. Caller, good morning. While I take a drink of water, go ahead.
Well, thank you, sir.
Oh, it's you. That's good. All right, what's going on, Doug?
Oh, not much. It's a breath of fresh air what Trump told Boeing. I mean, more politicians need to say that when they hand out these contracts.
Well, yeah.
Just say, build this for me, and send the taxpayers the bill. We don't care how much.
We have seen, and Doug, I know you're going to agree with this, over the last 25 years, we have seen such greed, we've seen such waste, we've seen such piling on, if you will, with businesses and what's done in government. I mean, what was it at one time, $1,500 toilet seats or whatever it was? I mean, come on, this is crazy. Maybe we've got an administration that's going to say, wait a minute. You're charging us $1,500 for toilet seats? Hit the road, Jack, because your contract is terminated.
Yep, we just called True Value, and we're going to buy them from them or Ace Hardware or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Well, we give them a spot, didn't we?
Yeah, I was going to say thanks. I'm not getting any money from them.
But anyway, yeah, I think it's a breath of fresh air, and I love the way they're, like you said, libs are getting ready to jump out of a basement window because what Trump has done in the first 4 weeks of his president-elect, not even sworn in yet.
You know what I thought was funny was when they made the announcement about this Japanese CEO that wants to expand his business here in this country, and literally it's going to bring in billions with a B of dollars to the United States and inflate our unemployment ranks down to, I shouldn't say inflate, diminish our unemployment ranks to where 50,000 people can get a job. You know, and the left is just absolutely, they're going, oh, what are we going to do? And they're running around with their foreheads on a baseball bat in circles.
Exactly. I was listening to news last night, and that Goldsby.
Yeah.
He said, well, he's got to go a long ways. Obama's created 6 million jobs.
Yeah, really.
Like that. And I thought to myself, 5.5 million were part-time.
And you know what else they were? They were government growth jobs, like an amoebic cancer cell that's growing bigger for government interests. That's where the employment was in the Obama administration.
Exactly. Well, anyway, that's why I wanted to touch on, and I'd like to ask everybody, this is the season for giving, and for, you donate to your favorite charities and stuff. Don't forget the senior centers. Donate to the senior centers. Help them out. I call it Feed It Forward, because one day we might need Meals on Wheels. So,
you know something, I want to stop you right there. That was an excellent slogan. Feed it forward. I love that.
Well, and that's what it is. And instead of paying it forward, we're going to feed it forward. Let's help take care of our seniors, because when we were young, they were working and supporting and helping take care of us.
Amen. Doug,
return the favor.
You're just a good old boy. I mean, I don't know what you want on your tombstone. I don't know what I want on mine, but I think good old boy is just pretty sufficient, because you're just that kind of a person.
Well, my mother raised me proper.
And she was a firecracker, and God knows I miss her. I loved her, except for the one day on the radio.
I love that.
Thank you, Doug. God bless you, man. Thanks.
God bless. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Thank you so much. Hey, calls are welcome, 436. I got to talk to you about LeBron James here in a minute. It really upsets me about LeBron James. I'll tell you why in just a minute. Minute Cash of Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley with Zach and the rest of the crew. Oh, my goodness, they've got everything from carpet to Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels. I mean, everything. And you can upgrade your windows with the Western windows and keep this doggone cold air outside where it belongs. Get outside! Stay out there! Well, they've got all the windows, and they can also get the contractors to do the installation. Minute Cash of Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley family, bringing you every Tuesday Dr. History, and we really, really appreciate all their efforts. Don't forget, we're going to be at Denny's Restaurant next Thursday, December 15th, for an old-fashioned Christmas. Yep, Christmas the way it ought to be. We're going to have carolers from Oakley High School. Great, great food. You know that. Prizes, all kinds of things. Christmas the way it should be at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, next Thursday, December 15th. Don't you miss it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jed. You know, I'm all for our government making our people that we do business with give us the best price and the best product possible. But if it comes to military products or something like the aircraft that, you know, the president is flying in, I want it built in the United States, not anywhere else. If we should ever go to war and need parts or anything for it, I want it where we can get it.
Well, nobody's intimating, Jerry.
For our soldiers, like our hats, our vests, our coats, our pants, our shirts, I want them built here, not in China, not in India, not in Mexico, anywhere else. I want them built in this country only, where we can get it and have it if we need it.
I totally agree with you. I couldn't agree more. We have had some of the Kevlar vests and some of the other material, even some of the uniforms for our military made overseas. That's got to come to a screeching halt. End of contract, end of story. Rebuild and refurbish our countries, or I should say our companies here in America. I totally agree with you.
Every part for every vehicle and every machine that we use in warfare should be available here. We shouldn't have to depend on another country being there or changing its attitude towards us. I don't want to worry about that in the future, so I am very strong on my beliefs there.
All right, my friend.
Out of your way, you have a wonderful day. And by the way, don't change the subject on me when I come on, because I don't have any idea who that character is you're talking about. I've never heard of him, know nothing about him, don't care about him. I care about my country first, and these idiots that want to do things different, they don't matter to me.
All right, Jerry. Thank you very much, Jerry. I appreciate it.
God bless you and your audience.
All right. Merry Christmas, my dear friend. Thank you very much. Caller, I will get you on right now before the weather forecast, so please proceed.
Boeing is not the one to blame here for it, because if somebody hands you something, do you say, no, I want you to give me less? No, they get what they asked for, and more power to them. But the people who offered it to them or accepted it are the people that are to blame.
Okay.
And the last thing I want to say is Obama, the worst president in the world, has asked all these pilots from the Navy and the Air Force and all the other military to fly planes that are 20 years old, and yet he wants the very best for him.
Yeah.
Not for the country, but for him.
You know, Keith, I'm going to say this. Are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say this to you because while you were in the car business, I bought a car from you. So you know what I'm about ready to talk about. You had a price on a vehicle. I had a little bit of haggling, and the twixt and tween need to come into fruition for our country. There needs to be the good old-fashioned horse trading and get the best doggone price available. Would you agree with that?
100%. And, you know, that's another thing that's happening in this world today is the fact that they're taking all this away from us, especially in the automobile business. My son is a manager of a company in Twin Falls, and he tells me about these things. Their Cox Communication now has bought into the car business really big.
Okay.
They have bought the Blue Book publication, and they're going to make it free to the public so they can see how much you bought the car for, how much it costs, everything. So when you go at the dealer, all you got to do is say, I want that one.
Okay.
That's the only choice they're going to have.
I like a good old horse trade. I mean, I like to sit down and kind of mash knuckles together and see what we're going to come up with. Keith, God bless you. I got to get a weather forecast on.
Okay. See
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Weather this hour brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Kyle James and all of his staff, they are really good people. I'm talking about taking care of your everyday injuries and illnesses, your ear infections, your sprains, your strains, your fractures. They can help you. Minor emergencies, major care. Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls. And Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Open 7 days a week, serving you. Right now, here's the weather.
Enjoy today because for the rest of the week it looks like it's going to be rainy and snowy. Mostly cloudy skies for today, expecting a high of 23, tonight low of 11. Tomorrow, 90% chance of snow showers are in the forecast, winds picking up out of the east, right around 15 miles an hour. High of 27, but an overnight low of 25. For Friday, rain showers are in the forecast, high of 41 with an overnight low of 31, expecting snow showers up on the higher elevations for Friday. Winds picking up on Saturday to about 20 miles an hour out of the southwest, partly cloudy skies. High of 35 with an overnight low of 23, and then for Sunday, partly cloudy and 34. Yesterday's high was 22. The overnight low was 8. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Woo! Yesterday's high 22. Yeah, no wonder I was cold out there yesterday feeding. Oh, my goodness. The weather brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome, minor emergencies, major care. Wonderful people serving you. Hey, I'm going to change stories here just for a minute because I've got something that just came across the wire that I think you should be aware of. Don't forget Bedke Treasure Barn. Oh my goodness, the treasures that are there at Bedke Treasure Barn are outstanding. They have a very large and unique inventory. It includes everything from furniture, even down to salon barber chairs, shave and haircut, 2 bits, vintage chairs and tools and table saws, and they've got ammunition, they've got collectible toys. What are you waiting for? What a great place to go for Christmas shopping. Bedke Treasure Barn, located at 1558 Normal Avenue on the corner of 16th and Normal in Burley. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I hope you're enjoying this global warming. It's really taking effect right now.
Yeah, I'm just sweating up a storm.
Yeah, well, we need the moisture, and it sounds like we got some moisture coming in and everything, but I just wanted to make a comment. If you take old Sam Walton, you used to see the flyers that come from that organization, and they would all took pride in the fact that it had flags in there that are made in America.
Yep.
Nothing's made in America. Basically, our trade deficit with China is like $350 billion a year and growing, and they're just laughing at us. And but the whole problem is all of these trade deals from NAFTA, was a bad deal. We had no trade deficit before NAFTA with either Canada or Mexico, and now it's about $150 billion a year, and with everything going to China, down to Mexico, or up to, I've got a friend in Canada, they're just laughing at us.
Yeah.
And the same people that negotiated that, negotiated this Trans-Pacific Partnership, and there's another one they're trying to combine us with the EU. But these things are so one-sided. Just to give you an example, you mentioned that they basically have been helpful to our farmers, generally speaking, but as for the overall economy, they've been very detrimental.
That's right.
And certainly, but anyway, the bottom line is that, Zeb, is that we have a situation where how many Hyundais and Kias come in from Korea, South Korea? I mean, millions. I don't know what the numbers would be, but they only allow us to send back to them 75,000 vehicles.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So if somebody over in Korea wants to buy a Cadillac Escalade or a Lincoln Continental or whatever, but here's the kicker of how they protect themselves, is that if you buy one of those vehicles, Zeb, you will end up with the equivalent of an IRS audit
comes along with the package.
Yeah,
So, go ahead and buy it, but here comes the IRS knocking on the door, searching through your files. So how many American vehicles are probably actually sold in Korea? Probably basically zero.
Yeah.
And so unless you work for the IRS over there, I suppose.
Well, the entirety of
that we have with all of these trade agreements, whether it's South Korea, the CAFTA, the Central American Agreement, they've been negotiating with people in our State Department, Commerce Department that have wanted to make us a third world country, move our factories out of here. So now everybody's saying, gee, if we try to keep everything back home here, we're going to have a trade war. Come on, bring it on, because right now it's such a one-sided deal. We don't have a chance with our American workers. We've lost 70,000 factories have closed down since NAFTA.
I agree. I got to run and get a commercial in. I appreciate your comment, and you're spot on, because I got this feeling. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe in 4 years everybody's going to be laughing at me. But I think the business climate in America is going to change. Adrian, God bless you. I appreciate it, man. Merry Christmas.
Well,
Thank you.
I hope that's the case, and certainly we need to keep their feet to the fire. And have a great day.
All right, sir. Thank you. I've got to get this in real quick before I run out of time, because this absolutely just made me so mad this morning. The politically correct, I'm going to hesitate calling any names here, but the PCers, we'll let it go at that, are now going after Christmas music. Oh, yes. One of my favorite Christmas songs, and you can go ahead and laugh at me if you want to, Baby, It's Cold Outside. They have rewritten the words. Yep, I'm not kidding. The PCers said that is a terrible, terrible song about sexual assault. I am not making this up. Lydia and Josiah Lemansky have absolutely complained and have rewritten the song so that it is not sexually aggressive. I never thought of that song as being sexually aggressive. I mean, Baby, It's Cold Outside has been a long time Christmas song. Oh my goodness, yes. For years and years and years. And here are these two PCers, Lydia and Josiah Lemansky. They complain about a very innocuous Christmas song, Baby, It's Cold Outside. And they let all the absolute filthy lyrics and rap music go right on by. What is the matter with us? You know, I'm going to ask Wheels, not today, but as we draw closer to Christmas, we're going to have a repertoire of Christmas songs occasionally during this program, hopefully starting next week. He's going to put it together for me. And I'm going to ask him specifically to include the song, Baby, It's Cold Outside, and we are not going to change the lyrics. I am not going to be subdued by these twits like Lydia and Josiah Lemansky. Saying that it is a sexually aggressive... You know what, when you say that, and let's be really blunt, think of all the love songs. Think of all the love songs, whether it's Frank Sinatra, whether it's Bing Crosby, whether it was anybody from the past, up to right now. You could really, if you wanted to be twisted and demented, say, well, those are all sexually aggressive songs, and we've got to absolutely change the lyrics. And if you heard the filth of the lyrics of many, or even most, of the so-called music called rap. Holy smokes. I've been to a couple of county fairs and a hog calling contest in my life. In other words, I've been around the horn a couple times. I've never heard filth like that. And they let that go. And they're after Christmas music. Like my grandmother used to say, Ay, 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 ay. Caller, real quick. Only 30 seconds. Go fast.
Well, it just shows you that anything that's established that has some sort of principles and was an entertaining song is up for, attack. And then all this filth, like you say. I mean, if you really delved into, and I haven't done it, but by chance, and in some cases it was investigation, the filth coming out of some of these songs nowadays is so unbelievably beyond belief that you're just going, will we be able to save ourselves? Because whoever's listening to this is permanently damaged.
Yeah, absolutely. Randy, I always refer to rap music with a C in front of the word. Talk to you later. Merry Christmas, buddy. Merry Christmas. Don't forget our friends, and they are our friends, at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes, are they good? And right now, with the old angel dandruff on the ground, snow, they are waiting for you to get in there and check out the snow and the ice tires, your traction tires for safer driving during these winter months. Absolutely. You'd better get in there and check it out today, along with the tire chains, along with the batteries. Now, I mean, this weather really, I hadn't driven my pickup for about 5 or 6 days, and I went out and turned the key yesterday, and I thought, whoa, baby, we got problems. Finally, it turned over. Well, make sure your battery's going to do the job for you. You can go in for a battery check, and if it's not going to do it, they've got great batteries right there at all 7 locations. So, I mean, service reigns supreme. They really want to help you for safe wintertime driving. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my old buddy Randy on Overland in Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're going to get out of here for about 6 minutes. I'm going to visit with my lovely bride, and we'll see you back in about 7 with Dave Bigo. Wheels, take it away. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Zeb Bell, Zebeth Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today for safer wintertime driving, absolutely. And some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
They have a tremendous idea, and I think you should listen to this. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Are you having a hard time trying to figure out what to get maybe grandma and grandpa or your aunt and uncle or whatever? Why don't you buy them a gift certificate for Western Waste to pick up their garbage for a year, a month, whatever? They can do it. Call them today. 2 numbers, 324-5849 or 734-6969, and tell them you'd like to take them up on that great idea. Absolutely. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You get a hold of them today. Great idea. Okay, let's also tell you real quick about Ark Animal Hospital. Hello, Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz. How you doing over there? This is a really, really nice group of people that have warm hearts for cold noses. Yep. Mixed animal practice, meaning bigger, small, they love them all. You could take a giraffe in there or a little miniature whatever, and they'd take care of it. They really love animals. Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Hayburn, 678-1177. Warm hearts for cold noses. Please remember them. They will serve you and your pets. Ark Animal Hospital. And one more little good word. Don't forget, every morning when we start our program, we have our weather forecast sponsored by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Kyle, Whitney, the whole crew at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And look for that blue door. Everything and whatever you need to make your house a home. For Christmas or any other time, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Let's go to the phone line right now. And last week he was touring with his entourage and unavailable to be on the phone. And I look forward to this day on this Wednesday, Pearl Harbor Day. My dear friend back in Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bego, good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. And we need to pay tribute to our fallen heroes that 75 years ago today in Pearl Harbor.
We are doing a special, Dave, at 10:06 this morning as a remembrance for our fallen and also Pearl Harbor Day, 1941. And we're going to do that all of this next hour, 10:06 to 11. But I certainly appreciate your remarks. How are you? I haven't talked to you for a while.
Doing fine, just busy, and I apologize for last week. I really thought that I could get a break and step out and do the show, but Zeb, I have to tell you, I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the high school that I graduated from, and they asked me to come up and speak to all their business classes. And I started at 8:30 in the morning, and I spoke in class after class until about 4:30 that afternoon, and I didn't get the break I thought I was going to.
You know something, Dave? I've always respected you, even though we've never had a chance to meet firsthand, face-to-face, and shake hands. But you are the epitome of an American success as a businessman. What are your thoughts right now about the climate of American business looking to the inauguration of Donald Trump as president and the next 4 years?
Well, let's start with the current business climate. It is not good. We see across the country businesses continue to cut costs and, scaling back and everything. And we need to reverse this trend that the current administration started. And we need to get the nation back on foot and balance our budget and secure our borders and all those things. And I think Trump and his administration and the people that he's, looks like he's bringing on board can do that. But, Zeb, quite honestly, I don't think it's going to be an easy path like I think. I mean, they talk like they're going to get it done the first 100 days, but I can tell you there's going to be a lot of opposition to him out there that's going to slow things down, which is going to be bad for the American economy.
Okay, but now, as a businessman and a man that I trust your opinion, what, in your opinion, needs to be in a step-grade fashion, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc., what needs to be done to turn this bus around?
Well, the first thing is they've got to go in, and he can do some of this through executive order, and eliminate all of Obama's executive orders and reduce the regulations on business in this country. Because people don't understand what Obama and his administration have put in place from all different angles that really tie the hands of business, concentrating on business and doing things they can to grow the company, and then, the taxes and that everything that go along with all that, and the fees or penalties if they don't meet these regulations. And, we need businessmen to concentrate on what they do best, and that's running a business and growing it and providing jobs for people. So regulations are the first thing that we need to do. The other is we have to address what's going on with other countries across the country through the Free Trade Acts and that are coming in and taking advantage of these things to undercut our companies. And we also need to seal the borders off because we got people coming in this country that are stealing American jobs and undercutting things. And so these are some of the big issues. And then, of course, taxes. He needs to get the taxes in line. We need a simplified tax system that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, Zeb, people don't realize this. It's okay, profits are not a dirty word, but you got to have money at the end of the day to reinvest. And if you are fighting all these regulations and taxes and everything else, you don't have it, and that's what's happening in this country right now.
I will say this, and I'd like to hear your response. One of the first things that Trump needs to do, and not back up or kowtow to anybody, he's got to put a big muzzle around the mouth of the EPA and restrain them. Your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, climate change, global warming, whatever you want to call it, is ridiculous. And he's got to get in there and restrain them. And and here's another thing that I think should be done, Zeb, because unfortunately our government, we are controlled by unions, and that because in 1962 John F. Kennedy wrote an executive order that allowed government agencies to be unionized, and so they use this to control the different programs and where we're going in this country, and climate change is a big one. And even FDR knew that it was wrong to have government agencies unionized because there's too much influence from the union bosses. And I think that, quite honestly, Trump ought to go and reverse John F. Kennedy's executive order. And I think you'd see a lot of this stuff go away.
I agree. What did you think the other day? Pardon me just a moment. Excuse me for clearing my throat. I apologize for that. I got a little bit of a cold coming on. What did you think the other day when you saw the Democrats clown-looking... Can you hear me, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think the other day when you saw on television the Democrats clown looking for a circus, Al Gore meeting with Donald Trump?
Zeb, I honestly didn't see that. So I guess I can't respond to that one very well.
Well, yeah, you can, because...
It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me either, but I know that one of his daughters is very, very high on the environment and believes in global warming. And he being Gore, was going to meet with her and secondarily Donald Trump. But, I'm a little bit more than concerned that Al Gore is trying to impose his thoughts and try to get in a little arm twisting with Donald Trump to lower his resistance to climate change. You can respond to that.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing about Donald Trump, though. They can try and do as much arm twisting as they want, but Trump is the type person that if it's not something he believes in, and that it doesn't matter what they do. He may listen to them, and I'll be honest, as a businessman, I listen to people too that I don't necessarily agree with or that, but I'm willing to sit down and listen to them. That doesn't mean I'm going to change my position on things, and I think that's what you're going to see with Trump.
Dave, now we are a month past the election, and still the hatred, the animosity, the absolute stand-up against Trump, organized riots, and everything else is still going on. The liberal left will not accept the fact that they are not in power in the House, the Senate, or the Oval Office. I'm seeing a lot more kind of a animus that's creating more of a racial tone in this country than ever before, because I have in my hand an email that was sent to me this morning. And various groups around the country are coming out with slogans like, white people are a plague to the planet. And then other slogans, make America brown again. And all of this, where in the world did Obama take us into a more racial society than ever before?
Well, that was his intent from the very beginning, and was to divide this country. And a big part of doing that is through racial and religious, division and stuff like that. And and his buddies like the SEIU, the union I fought, who are behind Black Lives Matters and Fight for 15. I mean, last week, I don't know if you saw, the SEIU did about rallies in about 340 cities across the country on Fight for 15, and Black Lives Matter, they're coming out now, and I just saw something today where they're coming out where they're going to provide people with special information and letters and that, how they can go out and expose white America and how bad it is, and they're going to continue to do this. And I think it's going to get worse as we move towards Inauguration Day, because the unions are, as I said before, in a death spiral, and the Democratic Party depends on them for election money, campaign money, and for the votes to get them reelected. And so these people are desperate, and desperate people do desperate things, and we're going to see it.
You know, I want to elaborate on your remark a little bit. I am very concerned for all the different people I talk to back in D.C. or New York every morning prior to my program, many of which are saying that the racial divide in this country is going to get 1,000 times worse with the likes of Obama, Jackson, and many others that are trying to stir the pot. And what are your thoughts about what might happen right after Inaugural Day with Donald Trump? I'm seeing a lot of chaos that could take place in the major cities in America.
Well, I think that could happen, and as I've told you before, I'm concerned it happened before this, in that they do it on purpose so they can declare martial law and take over. And I still have that concern with this president and the people that he's associated with on the far left and the union bosses, the radical unions like the SEIU and that, and these people only care about themselves and their agenda, and they don't believe in our free market society, and they think it should be brought down. And, just the things that Obama says and doesn't say, like, has he come out today and said anything in regard to honoring our people that died in Pearl Harbor 75 years ago?
Not that I have heard or seen so far this morning. And I want to be fair on this program. I have not had my nose to the screen since about 6 o'clock this morning, picking up various stories. But when you talk about the divide in this country and the racial unrest, look at what happened up there on the Dakota pipeline. Dave, this thing had been approved. This pipeline had been said by the environmentalists even that it was not going to hurt anything. The United States Army engineers went in and they've started this thing along with all the private jobs that are involved. And the Sioux Indian tribe comes out and stops this, and all the money, everything is at a standstill. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's the same thing that they're doing with, racial divide, Black Lives Matters and stuff like that. They look for every area they can to attack you, Zeb. And again, I've said this before, I sound like a broken record, but I have seen this, I have been through it, because this is the way they attack you. You know, they look for every angle they can to make you look bad and to downgrade what you're trying to do, and they get into people's heads. I mean, they easily brainwash them, and because these people are naive at what's going on and what these people really are, and they intimidate them, and also they bribe them. And we're going to see more and more of this, whether it's Sioux Indians or African Americans or different religions. I think we're going to see more and more as we move forward in the next 43 days.
I'd like your remarks about LeBron James. I was going to talk about this last hour, and I didn't have time. LeBron James last year made over $44 million as the number one basketball player, so to speak, in the world. And he has come out with so much hate and so much of a lead spokesman job for the left against Donald Trump. Here is nothing more than a high school graduate that absolutely has propelled himself to the forefront to be a naysayer like the other actors and other athletes. What are your thoughts about LeBron James?
You know, these people don't get it, and they, again, Zeb, he may be a great basketball player. That doesn't mean he understands what's going on in this country. It doesn't mean he's up to date, and they depend on this stuff. They prey on this stuff with these people. It's like Kalanick and others. They don't really get what's going on in this country. And the left depends on that fact. And the rest of America needs to wake up. And what we have to do, and I'm telling you, I don't think the Republican Party and Trump needs to do a better job of it. They need to get out in front of some of these people and sit down and have conversations with them about what's truly going on.
Yep.
Because that's how you get these people to understand, these people on the left are lying to me.
I absolutely agree with you. When we talk about various things in the news this morning, we're also going to have to talk about the Japanese businessman, CEO. I really am high on this. He is kind of shook hands with Trump and said that he's going to bring a multi-billion-dollar business here in the United States, and it could create up to 50,000 new jobs, American jobs, here in the United States. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw that, and I've heard a couple of different angles on that that was already in place and was going to happen. So it's not truly something Donald Trump has done. But on the other hand, the good part of it is at least Trump is willing to meet with these people and shake their hand and work with them and listen to them. And I can guarantee you, if he sees something or hears something that he's not comfortable with, he'll make sure that he talks to them about it and gets it remedied. And that's the type of president you need.
And the other story that I thought was very pertinent about Donald Trump as the president-elect, telling Boeing, hey, you better sharpen your pencils because we're not just going to take your bid carte blanche and pay you all that money. What did you think about that?
Well, and this is what needs to be done. Again, we have a situation in this country where we have people in Washington that are there because they like the lifestyle and the money and that, and we have people working in office that are union employees that back union companies like Boeing, and and Boeing's trying to get away from the union situation. They built the plant down in the southeast, and they've resisted it down there. But you have to have people in Washington that are willing to sit down and really go through the numbers and negotiate and get the best deal for the United States of America.
Okay, now I've only got a couple of minutes left, but you sent me, and I thought this was really kind of a knife in the back attitude, you sent me a list of some of the wines that you would like me to send you for Christmas. What is this wine called 14 Feet in the Vat?
No, it's 14 hands.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought, I must have misread that.
You'll be interested where I found that out. I actually had a chance to play Trump's Doral Country Club several years ago, and they were serving it there. And it is a very good wine, but it's very inexpensive. I mean, for the price point, it's really good. And this is another, thing that you can look at a businessman like Donald Trump. He's found a way to find a good wine that he can serve at one of his clubs, but it's a price point that works from a business perspective and for his membership.
I'm kind of one of those guys, Bigo, that's going to probably send you a whole case of Sham Pipple.
I'll see if I can find somebody that wants that.
Okay. Listen, Merry Christmas to a dear friend. I know we're going to talk to you again before Christmas, but I just wish you the very best. It's always a lot of fun visiting with you every Wednesday. Dave Bigo, author of books, The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Our Doorstep, and great businessman. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Again, I apologize for last week, but I do have to tell you, Zeb, that I think I really opened a lot of eyes with these high school kids, sophomore, juniors, and seniors, and I talked to the future business owners of America Club afterwards, and I think I really opened their eyes what they need to do and what's going on in America today.
Really quick, fast on this. I've got 30 seconds, but what was the number one question that they asked you? Did they ask the same question more than once?
No, it was really a diverse group, and they asked a lot of different questions, to be honest with you. A lot of them went back to, why did you decide to do this and go this way? And, I had explained to them, and how could you make all this happen? I said, well, the biggest thing you have to understand is that you have to be willing to go out and work hard, persevere, be honest, do the right things, take care of your employees, take care of your customers, and develop relationships with everybody you work with. And if you do those things, you'll be a successful business person.
Absolutely.
And they were surprised that it wasn't detailed stuff like how do you account in an accounting book or something like that.
Yeah.
That it was more general stuff that you have to do to be successful.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I have him on the show. Dave Bigo, Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Indianapolis Colts that are playing better football than my Green Bay Packers. Have a great day, Dave. See you next Wednesday.
All right, take care. Merry Christmas.
All right, same to you, my dear friend. Dave Bigo, and always cherish the time that we have on the radio. Thank you very much. Don't forget Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and the staff, always serving you and your family. You know, when there's the passing of a loved one, they will travel to the rural towns and churches, and they'll help you with all the arrangements. And remember this, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. And you know they have planning guides at the mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert that will kind of give you a lot of information that we all should have on pre-planning funerals to eliminate a lot of the stress and worry for our families. Please call them. Hanson Mortuary, 436-5636, located at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Really nice people. When we talk about nice people, I've got to also jump in here and give you some Christmas wishes from some very nice people, like Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Don't forget to give her a call at 431-5667 and line up gift certificates for stocking stuffers for next spring. Yes, the very best. Vicky's Country Garden in Paul, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Along with our friends at Pickett Equipment Company, 976 East Main in Burley. My goodness, they went from developing equipment in their farm shop all the way to now shipping great agricultural equipment all over the world. My goodness, they are big and they deserve it. Pickett Equipment Company, 976 East Main in Burley, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Along with our friends at AMI, 719 Overland in Burley, you'll see the big 28-foot wrench over the door and you'll go nuts over their bolts. And they support you. You should support them. Alan, Corey, Eric, Rob, and the rest of the crew at AMI, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. In just a moment, we're going to go to the phone line and have Dustin Siggins from The Stream on our program, so stay tuned for that. And we also want to remind you that later on this morning, we're going to have Larry Cottam and George Mass here in our remembrance of December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. Want to remind you, too, about our great insurance professionals, and they are Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more. And they are very thoughtful and caring about you, your family, and your business. Please give them a call for an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You know what? While you're over there, I bet you old Nick and the rest of the crew over at Let's Ride are just smiling like Cheshire cats, going, hey, look at all this angel dandruff out there, all the snow. Well, by golly, they've got all brand new snow machines over there. My goodness, what an inventory. They're located at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6, Saturdays 9 a.m. to 5. And they've got those timber sled systems. You know what those are? The snow bike conversion kit that allows you to convert your bike from dirt to snow and back again. Absolutely fantastic. Great accessories for Christmas giving, all kinds of great things. Super service department at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Let's go to the phone line right now, and we have with us a gentleman that writes for The Stream. His name is Dustin Siggins. Dustin, good morning. If you are there, say good morning back.
Good evening.
Good evening?
Does that work?
Yeah, that'll work. Okay. We'll turn the clock ahead.
Say good morning to be on the show.
Okay.
Sorry, the bronchitis is kicking in. That's my version of a joke today.
No, that's all right, Dustin. I'll tell you what, I've been fighting a cold all week. What is going on with the HGTV network that they are trying to basically run Christians off the air and denounce and belittle anybody that has Christian faith and beliefs? What's going on over there?
It's really interesting. So I don't watch Fixer Upper, the HGTV show under discussion right now. But I don't actually own a TV at all. But the couple, Chip and Joanne Gaines, help people fix up houses, like a million other shows that are out there. And a BuzzFeed reporter, and I put the word reporter in quotation marks because there wasn't a whole lot of reporting in this piece, she claims that the Gaines go to this church that is explicitly pro-marriage, and they do not support redefining marriage. And furthermore, that a sermon from their pastor that was online from a year ago indicates that, you know, this church is anti-gay. This is the position that this reporter took. She then reached out to the Gaines and said, what do you think about gay marriage? They didn't respond. The basic premise of her piece is they didn't respond. How dare they not respond? Therefore, we should harangue them because of the church they go to. To its credit, HGTV has largely ignored this. They put out a statement to Huffington Post and some other outlets saying, look, you know, we don't discriminate because the BuzzFeed reporter also said there have been no gay couples on Fixer Upper. Does this mean you guys discriminate against gay couples? It's rather silly for many reasons, one of which is the Gaines have offered no position on marriage other than, you know, supporting their own. So it's definitely, you know, searching for a problem. But secondly, HGTV has had gay couples on at least two of its other shows. And third of all, HGTV is the same program that kicked the Benham brothers off the air before their show. I forget what their show was called. In 2014,
right?
Where Flip It Forward, that was going to help couples pay off debt by flipping their homes.
Right.
So it's really it's a problem that BuzzFeed has created, and to their credit, HGTV is stuck by the Gaines, and most even liberals are pushing back and saying that this is an inappropriate witch hunt by BuzzFeed, Jezebel, and Cosmopolitan, which have promoted the BuzzFeed angle.
Whatever happened, and I'm just going to say right up front here, Dustin, and if it causes anybody to be upset, that's their problem, not mine. Whatever happened to us as Christians and raised in the belief that the Word of God is the Bible, and it hasn't changed for thousands of years, and even though we call ourselves sometimes progressing in society, the Word of God doesn't change. What's wrong with beliefs in what God's Word is?
So the last, let's boil this down to sex. If you have a sexual attraction to somebody and you care about somebody, then you must accept that as a society. We must accept that as valid and as equal to anything else. And, obviously the Bible says, I'm Catholic, right? So the Bible not only says marriage is between a man and a woman, right?
That's right.
Man should leave his parents and cleave to his wife. But also Catholic tradition says this. And third of all, natural law says, that obviously gay couples can't have kids naturally. Only heterosexual couples can. And gay couples, especially male couples, have major health issues like HIV/AIDS. So at a far higher proportion than their relative population size. So when Christians say we support marriage, we are saying this with theological, scientific, and observational realities behind us. But what we don't have is the, touchy-feely, heart-tugging that goes on with the LGBT activists. So they often win with a, generally secular, even if they're so-called religious people in America. Many Americans are pretty secular in how they view their religious beliefs. And so they are convinced by the emotions of the LGBT activist movement.
Well, I, for one, I've had it up to the top of my hat with the being forced and coerced into accepting something that goes against my faith, goes against my moral values, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go along in lockstep with the LGBT and their derisive comments. I'm not going to go along with their condemning the rest of us. God defined marriage in the Bible, and this pastor of this couple, Pastor Siebert, was absolutely correct when he said that homosexuality is a sin. It says that in 27 different places, at least in the Bible, prominently in Romans and then also in Corinthians. Why in the world should we accept their philosophy? Well,
I would slightly disagree with you on the terminology. homosexuality is defined as the sexual attraction one has is not a sin.
Yes, it is.
Sexual attraction, I'm heterosexual. I'm attracted to women. Being attracted to a woman is not a sin. It would be sinful if I lusted after or if I engaged in premarital or extramarital sex or did anything else that was unchaste. So it is absolutely true, though. Homosexual relationships are sinful. And the people who reject that, again, they rely heavily on emotion and sex as opposed to saying, for example, I am a conservative Catholic. I look at someone who's gay and say, hi, human being, how are you? I'm also a human being. Let's go out for coffee. I don't really care what their sexuality is. I care about them as a human being, so if it comes up in conversation, I may say to them, you should change your lifestyle. Just like I might say to somebody who is an alcoholic or engaging, living with their girlfriend or boyfriend, or anyone else who's doing something that I believe is hurting their soul. And I think that the pastor said it correctly, that he's worried about people's souls. He's not anti-gay. He's anti-people hurting their souls, and that can include engaging in homosexual relationships.
The other thing that I appreciate and respect your remarks, but I will say this, that the LGBT, they will come forward and they will denounce us as being bigots and hate mongers. I'm not going to change my philosophy, and I'm certainly not going to change my faith. And it is a sin. And see, the problem with the homosexual movement in this country is that they don't accept what they're doing as a sin, and they're telling everybody else that God loves them the way they are, and basically they can keep on doing what they're doing. I don't know about you, Dustin, but every night I've got a lot of sins that I'm sorry for and I repent for, and I promise that I'll try not to ever do them again. That's the difference with the LGBT. They just basically say, nah, God loves me, I can keep doing what I want.
Well, that is certainly true with many people who are same-sex sexually attracted. There are, again, being Catholic, there's a group called Courage, which helps Catholics who desire to be chaste and abstinent to help them and with scripture and support groups and things like this. So there are many people who are same-sex attracted who are actually married, bisexuals, for example. People who are attracted to both sexes are easily married. Roberto Lopez, you might have heard of him. He was a professor at Cal State Northridge, I believe, who was basically pressured out of his job for being very actively socially conservative. He was raised by a lesbian couple, and he flat out said to me in an interview, as well as elsewhere, that he really believes his childhood was harmed by not having a father figure. This has made him kind of a pariah in what would otherwise be accepting circles, because he's Hispanic and he's Hispanic, but he is also definitely bisexual. But he's only ever engaged with a woman. He has 4 kids with her. They're married. So, again, when we talk about, I like to distinguish between LGBT activists and people with same-sex attractions. I think a lot of the latter, there was a guy who wrote in the Washington Post, he's a liberal gay man, and he said, the gays should not be targeted. This piece going after them by BuzzFeed is totally inappropriate, not helpful, and not constructive they're not conducive to a productive society. And that's the sort of view I suspect that most people, gay, lesbian, bisexual Americans have on these sorts of issues.
The problem is with the LGBT in this United States of America right now is that they have taken the moral compass and ripped it off the chart. There is no right, there is no wrong. And any country that dissolves itself of a moral compass is a country that's going to fall. And right now, I see our country in really unstable ground as far as having the values of right and wrong of our heritage.
Well, that's certainly true, and it doesn't, but again, Brian Anderson at the Heritage Foundation put this really well, that it wasn't gay activists that ruined marriage in America. It's the 50 years of higher divorce rates among heterosexual couples. It's, and as a Catholic, it's 50 years of widespread contraception use that has allowed, people to have what they say is consequence-free sex outside of marriage. And so there's all these things that have led up to the LGBT movement, and again, of course, now we're seeing the next stage, even beyond same-sex couples, is the transgender issue, where, you see in Massachusetts, I'm sure you've covered this, in Massachusetts, priests and pastors can now be jailed, fined and or jailed, for not using proper pronoun, or what they say, proper pronouns,
right,
if they hold certain events.
Well, the whole thing is
the next stage of it all.
Yeah, the whole thing is, Dustin, that right now we are on the precipice of tipping off the one side to the left and having to absorb all of their immoral attitudes, or possibly tipping off to the right side to restore some morality and some conventional thinking in this country that we need. Right now we're just kind of falling apart like a cheap jigsaw puzzle.
Well, the good thing is that really 50, 60 years from now, it's very possible that all of this will sort of fade away if we can sort of survive.
True.
The next 50, 60 years, because I'm not sure we will, but if we do, because the only people having lots of kids in America are evangelicals, Baptists, Catholics, Mormons, and Muslims. And there are more Catholics and evangelicals and Baptists than Mormons and Muslims. You know what I'm saying? So everyone's having big families, and therefore it creates a situation where, gay couples obviously aren't having kids very frequently, and certainly most liberals are not. They're contracepting and aborting their way out of having kids. So it creates a situation where, people with social conservative values like Mormons, Muslims, Catholics, evangelicals, and Baptists could very well be, again, dominating 40, 50, 60 years from now, as the current generation ages and sort of contracepts and aborts itself out of having the next generation.
Let's go back to the original intent of having you on the program this morning to talk about this couple, Chip and Joanna Gaines, and the program called the Fixer Upper. What about Hollywood? What about television in general? How do we get above their absolute hatred for those of us that will not go along with the LGBT movement?
Well, one of the things I said in my piece is it appears that the dollars are really what's important. Phil Robertson has said many controversial things, right?
Right, that's right.
He's still on the air because he brings in a lot of money to A&E. Likewise, the Duggars, until it came out that Josh Duggar had sexually molested his sisters,
right,
they survived several similar controversies, and they were directly involved in politics because they brought in enough money. Fixer Upper is not going anywhere, at least in the near future, because they bring so much money into the show. And I read, I forget what publication reported this, but they get something like 24 million total views per show between online and TV and other sources, and reruns. They get 24 million views. HGTV is not letting them go anytime soon, especially when they haven't voiced an opinion. So I think the hatred that you're talking about is actually balanced out by pure economics. For all these liberals who say that they hate, free market, the fact is the free market of ideas is bringing the Gaines to a very high-ranking position at HGTV, and their business first and foremost. And HGTV is not going to let them go anytime soon.
Dustin, I always appreciate having you on. We can have a good discussion and bring out both sides of the issue. Dustin Siggins with The Stream. And I will very poignantly say Merry Christmas and God bless, and thank you for coming on the program this morning.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Thanks. Nice man. Dustin Siggins with The Stream. I am running just a minute or two late, and I'm going to get the weather forecast on. Oops, don't knock the microphone over, Zeb, please. The weather brought to you this hour by Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, and Company. CPAs, Curtis Pope, Todd Phillips, Rob Oaks, Mitch Goodwin, Leiden Crane. Oh, they are really, really sharp people, and they can help you with tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. Yes, get a hold of them today. Don't forget the end of the year almost here. Good heavens. And especially the 1099s that need to be sent out. Get those in the mail. You better believe it. Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, and Company CPAs can and will help you. Right now, here's Gina with our weather.
Enjoy today because for the rest of the week it looks like it's going to be rainy and snowy. Mostly cloudy skies for today, expecting a high of 23, tonight low of 11. Tomorrow, 90% chance of snow showers are in the forecast, winds picking up out of the east, right around 15 miles an hour. High of 27, but an overnight low of 25. For Friday, rain showers are in the forecast, high of 41 with an overnight low of 31, expecting snow showers up in the higher elevations for Friday. Winds picking up on Saturday to about 20 miles an hour out of the southwest, partly cloudy skies, high of 35 with an overnight low of 23, and then for Sunday, partly cloudy and 34. Yesterday's high was 22, the overnight low was 8. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you, and brought to you by our friends at Pope Phillips Oaks Goodwin and Company CPAs. 2 locations to serve you, 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The very best serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you today?
I am great, thank you. What can I do for you?
I was just listening to your last segment, and I don't know if people are paying attention, but about all of your programs that you see on TV, they're bringing in this same sex thing, and then it's just like we get complacent, and everything is just okay because we hear it over and over and over. And some of the shows that that's the most, that's what they keep bringing in, and I don't know if I'm going to keep watching them or not.
You know, ma'am, in total respect to what you said, I agree with you to the nth degree. The saturation of the filth that's going into the various, if you want to call them that, sitcoms and other TV shows of accepting an immoral lifestyle is absolutely ridiculous to me. I, for one, can tell you honestly, there's only a couple of things that Deanne and I watch on television. Sports and news. And as far as the sitcoms and all the other garbage, the channel changer never stops on those programs. I hate them, and when I'm asked about them, I denounce them.
Well, I think more of us need to do that, and if we stop watching their programs, even though we like them, and I was watching This Is Us last night, and then that's what they bring in is the grandpa is gay, and it's like I'm not watching it anymore.
Nope.
And so I'm going to stick to my History channels, my Discovery, and the news. I don't do sports.
I'll tell you what, and I respect you for what you want or not want to watch, but I refuse to subject my house into accepting the liberal left garbage. And that's what it is. It's garbage and filth. And anybody that wants to take issue with that, they know my number and they can call. But I extend to you and your family a very Merry Christmas.
A Merry Christmas to you. We enjoy your show. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, yeah, for your last caller, just tell her to do what I did. I quit watching TV almost 10 years ago.
Well, you know, that's fine. If you want to make that decision not to watch television, I still think there are beneficial things on the television to watch if you look for them. That's your preference. But I tell you one thing, I will never subject my house into watching the filth of these sitcoms or other situation shows that glamorize a lifestyle that I find to be filthy and absolutely a sin.
That's why I quit paying to watch TV.
All right, sir. I appreciate...
And another thing, I've been on the phone over the last 20 minutes or so calling all of our esteemed leaders here and then the House Appropriations Senate Majority Leader and a bunch of other ones there about the refugee funding and the H-2B visa program to ask them to vote no on that stuff.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, as far as the refugees are concerned, be listening tomorrow. I'm going to have another story on that. God bless you. You're always welcome on the program, sir. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks.
You bet. Caller, 1 second. Stay with me. Don't forget to join us all for an old-fashioned Christmas at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Next Thursday, December 15th from 8:06 to 11. I'll be broadcasting live and direct over there. Carolers from Oakley High School. Great food, prizes, all kinds of fun. Christmas the way it should be at Denny's America's Diner next Thursday, December 15th. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. We're still talking about happenings during World War II?
We're going to be this next hour. I've got a couple of guests. They're going to be talking about Pearl Harbor Remembered, the war that changed the world. It's going to be starting at 10:06 this morning.
Oh, well, my cousin was on a destroyer during the battle of my cousin Joey, during the battle of Leyte Gulf.
Oh, my.
And he was seriously wounded. This is things that happened to our veterans back there. Anyway, his destroyer was sunk, and he was fortunate enough to be on a raft until the sharks showed up.
Oh, my.
And he said he very seldom spoke about it, but he told me about what happened. Some of the guys had their arms over the sides, and they were pulled off the rafts, and there were so many guys that were wounded in the water.
Oh, my.
And this is some of the awful things that happened during World War II.
You know, Tony, I've read books about those accounts that you're talking about, and it just is horrendous to what our United States military, Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force were subjected to in previous wars, and anything and everything that I can do to pay tribute to our military, we're going to do it on this program. My thanks for your call this morning. Thank you very much. God bless you, man. Thanks. There is a true friend right there of this program. Got time for another call? Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One thing I want to mention real quick about the segment that we had this half hour with Dustin Sagans, I am not going to back up. I've had people after the program, and they will call or they'll send emails saying, well, you should apologize. No. What I say on this program, I do not apologize for. Don't forget Streamline Precision with my dear friend, and that's Tim Vaughn at 431-7314. They have all the steel buildings they can build for you on your farm, dairy, ranch business, and they are good. This is the best time of the year, the best, to get a bid and get them to work so it's ready to go by spring. Absolutely. Dairyman, don't forget, if you're thinking of remodeling or building new structures, now is the time. Call Streamline Precision, my buddy Tim Vaughn, at 431-7314. They're waiting for your call at Streamline Precision. Okie dokie, let's see what else have I got cooking here real quick. Coming up next hour, as I said, we're going to have Larry Cottam and George Mass on the program, and they are two former Navy sailors that absolutely have done so much to come out and speak for all of our military, and I really appreciate them being on the program this morning as we observe the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. That's going to be coming up this next hour. And let's see, what else have I got? Oh, real quick, let's see, you've got some Santa wishes. I almost forgot my Santa wishes. I'm sorry, forgive me. Don't forget Magic Valley Carpet, 613 D Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, company's coming for Christmas. You better get a carpet that looks halfway decent. My goodness sakes, Magic Valley Carpet can help you. All you have to do is call them at 436-1722. Wishing you a Merry Christmas, Magic Valley Carpet. And we are blessed in this area to have some legislators that really are first class. Senator Kelly Anthon, Representative Scott Bedke, and, of course, Representative Fred Wood. All three of those gentlemen wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much. Along with Redder Showcase, 2611 Overland and Burley, and the number 878-2000. Boy, countdown to Christmas sale. Great buys on mattresses, appliances from Whirlpool, Maytag, and Amana. Oh, my goodness. Get into Redder Showcase, 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studios for about 7 minutes. Don't go away, Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be right back. Oh, my goodness, here we go. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Get your traction tires on. We're going to get more snow, lots of it. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them and get on the route service, 734-6969. Want to remind you about Four Paws Bed and Bath for your dogs and kitty cats and everything else. They are just absolutely going to have a huge Christmas party for your pets on Saturday, December 17th from 11 to 3. I know George and Larry are going to take their Dobermans over there, and they're also going to celebrate their grand opening of their brand new edition. Your dog's going to love it. They're going to have lots of giveaways and great food. It's going to be a real fun party. So that's at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West 200 South of Rupert. You be sure and get your dog all ready for that Christmas party on December 17th. And we also want to remind you about Streamline Precision with my friend and yours, Tim Vaughn. Streamline Precision with the number 431-7314. Right now is the time to get a bid on putting up any buildings on your property. The pre-engineered steel buildings from Nucor, Prime, Sukup, and many others. I'm telling you, they do the job. And Dairyman, if you're thinking about having more feed lanes, mangers replaced, everything, they can get the job done now. Have it ready for spring. Streamline Precisions, 431-7314 with my buddy and yours, Tim Vaughn. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are well aware, today, December 7th, a day that lives in infamy in our history of the United States of America. And at this time, I would like Damon at our main studios to play our former president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Senators and representatives, I have the distinguished honor of presenting the President of the United States.
Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with that nation, and at solicitation of Japan, still in conversation with its government and its emperor, looking toward the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. Indeed, 1 hour after Japanese air squadrons had commenced bombing in the American island of Oahu, the Japanese ambassador to the United States and his colleague delivered to our Secretary of State a formal reply to a recent American message. And while this reply stated that it seemed useless to continue the existing diplomatic negotiations, it contained no threat or hint of war or of armed attack. It will be recorded that the distance of Hawaii from Japan makes it obvious that the attack was deliberately planned many days or even weeks ago. During the intervening time, the Japanese government has deliberately sought to deceive the United States by false statements and expressions of hope for continued peace. The attack yesterday on the Hawaiian Islands has caused severe damage
to American naval and military forces. I regret to tell you that very many American lives have been lost. In addition, American ships have been reported torpedoed on the high seas between San Francisco and Honolulu. Yesterday, the Japanese government also launched an attack against Malaya. Last night, Japanese forces attacked Hong Kong. Last night, Japanese forces attacked Guam. Last night, Japanese forces attacked the Philippine Islands. Last night, the Japanese attacked Wake Island. And this morning, the Japanese attacked Midway Island. Japan has therefore undertaken a surprise offensive extending throughout the Pacific area. The facts of yesterday and today speak for themselves. The people of the United States have already formed their opinions and well understand the implications to the very life and safety of our nation. As Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, I have directed that all measures be taken for our defense, but always will our whole nation remember the character of the onslaught against us. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory. I believe that I interpret the will of the Congress and of the people when I assert that we will not only defend ourselves to the uttermost, but will make it very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us. Hostilities exist. There is no blinking at the fact that our people, our territory, and our interests are in grave danger. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God. I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Damon, over at our main studios. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Franklin Roosevelt declaring war on Japan, December 7th, 1941. In the studio right now, I have two gentlemen that have served this great United States of America, both in the Navy, I want to try to remember. And I have George Mass and Larry Cottam. George, to you first of all, your thoughts on that speech, a very moving speech to Congress by President Roosevelt.
It was very forthcoming, very emotional, and very firm on that, so that let them know that they messed with the wrong person.
Well, at that time, the United States had really taken a sucker punch. And quite frankly, I think Japan, and Larry, I want you to respond to this. I think Japan and a lot of people that have studied World War II and previous wars, etc., have said that Japan actually made a very bad mistake when they thought by doing this that we'd roll over. Larry, what were your thoughts about this?
Well, I believe that Japan really did make a mistake, and the mistake was they didn't keep coming to the West Coast. They assumed that we had everything tied up in Pearl Harbor, and the battleships was just sitting ducks.
Yeah.
It was really a surprise thing, but I don't look to ever see that happen again. I was over there in 1963. And we tied up out there on Battleship Row, and there was still two of the battleships sticking up out of the water. You could see the bow on. They still tied to the pier, but they were still there. I asked somebody about that one time. I says, why the Arizona? Because you can't see it. And they said it was the lives that was lost on it. And they're right. There was 1,177 lives lost. And that was a third of the people that was lost over in Pearl Harbor. So, they did the right thing in doing that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but I believe there were well over 2,400 people that lost their lives on that Sunday morning.
Something like that. Overall, they said there was 3,500 is what the figures are right now. So, like I said, a third of them went down with the Arizona.
Let me ask you, George, in his remarks, President Roosevelt said very succinctly that yesterday the Japanese government launched an attack against Malaya, and he went through other attacks that the Japanese had carried out in succession prior to, of course, the thinking with Pearl Harbor. They really had this thing planned out for quite some time, didn't they?
Yes, but for memory serves me correct, is about 1934, Japan started invading into China, and that trying to get their oil supplies. And in September of 1941, the U.S. cut off the embargo. They stopped the flow of aviation fuel, scrap metal, and supplies, and it crippled the Japanese because they took over into China.
Did it surprise you? Both of you have been in the Navy, and of course the Navy, our Navy, the United States Navy, was absolutely decimated because of this attack on Pearl Harbor. Did it surprise you that the American people, they took this punch, but then all of a sudden they got up off the canvas and, whoa, look out, they fought back? Larry?
I believe that they really underestimated us on that deal, and the Americans did pull together. My dad worked out in the shipyards during the World War II, and he told me how quick they was putting all these ships out, building them and putting them out, and I think Japan really underestimated that the people had come together.
I want to talk about that in just a minute, about the way that we literally had to go 24/7 to get things back in order. We have a call with a question. Quickly, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I agree with these guys because General Yamamoto said, I fear, he was the one over the attack, over it, and he said, I fear lest we've awakened a sleeping giant.
Absolutely.
And so he knew, and he was the one that was the commander over the attack.
Absolutely. You're 100% right on that, caller. There were two generals in the Japanese military that basically were the quarterbacks for this, if you will. General Yamamoto and General Nagumo. And I think both of them, they just didn't pay attention to the fact that the American public was not going to lay down and just open the front door and say, come on in. I guess he's gone. Your response to that, quickly, George, as far as the Japanese not playing their cards correct on this one?
No, they figured that the American people didn't have the will to fight, and they wouldn't fight hard enough to win. If I may comment, when they invaded or bombed Tokyo, they also had a plan to come in and invade the West Coast, but they backed down because they knew the United States citizens was armed.
You know, and that's something that needs to be elaborated on, and I want to hit that. Remember that point, George. We're going to talk about that. But, Larry, I want to go back over and talk about your father before we take a break here in a few minutes. Working in the shipyards. Did he tell you what it was like all of a sudden that they knew that, man, there was no such thing as getting days off? They had to really stay there and build like crazy.
He did too, and I remember him talking about riding these ships out to sea and that to test them, making sure they see where they're not. But they put in a lot of hours and everything else, and people like Rosie the Riveter and people like that. So they all come together to make sure that we was going to be okay.
Who started the movement, literally overnight, to beg and plead for people to go to work in the various factories? I mean, that must have been a massive undertaking to get this all outlined and ready to go.
It really was, and I think that's just the way America was at the time. They all stood together and helped out each other and everything else. So it worked out for him.
Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zed, and good morning, Larry and George. I would just like to make a comment. Larry's one of my favorite cousins, and I know a little bit about him, and I want to tell you about him. Since he got out of the Navy, he has been with the Color Guard at almost every military funeral in this area for some time. And not only that, he drove the van to Boise for veterans. I don't know how long, but he is a dedicated American, and I want to express my thanks to him. And he is one of my favorite cousins.
God bless you for your call. I appreciate that. And, I think both of these gentlemen, and I'm going to speak on my behalf here, Larry Cottam, George Mass, both have been involved in the salutes to our military and those that have passed away. I don't know if color guard is the right terminology. Correct me, gentlemen, but both of you have been involved in that for a long time, have you not?
Yes.
George, you mentioned something a little bit ago that I want you to elaborate on because I think it's very fitting for today. We are seeing a lot of attacks and assaults on our Second Amendment, but the Japanese, in the comment that you made earlier, they knew that if they attacked the west coast of the United States, woe betide them because Americans were armed and they knew how to use those guns.
Yes, that is something that's not very displayed much or out in the public about Americans being well armed. But I forgot what general it was says, no, we'd better not invade because we will get our butts whipped there.
Franklin Roosevelt getting up in front of Congress and saying no matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might, those two words really hit me, will win through to absolute victory. Righteous might. Do we have that righteous might today, Larry?
I don't know. Our president, if that's what you want to say, I just lost a lot of faith in him. And
you're talking about Obama?
Yeah, to go around and apologize to everybody and that. We don't owe these people no apology. And they need to respect the American people and the military that we have. We've got a great bunch of young people in the military right now.
I want you to elaborate on that. I'd be amiss if I didn't ask you. You said we don't have to go around apologizing to anybody. Boy, I'm on your side, but explain your feelings to my public. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of this happened a long time ago and had nothing to do with us, really. But still, we don't owe them apology.
Absolutely.
I did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong, and most American people did nothing wrong. We didn't attack these people.
Let me ask you this. It's so easy for people today to have hindsight that is clear vision 2020, and they criticize the Roosevelt administration and literally like some of the camps like Hunt Camp over in Eden, etc., and saying, oh, how wrong that was and what an atrocity. At that time, the president and the administration did what they thought was best to save and preserve America, right?
They did, and that's one of the problems with the military now is we have politicians trying to run it, and they shouldn't. They need to leave that to the generals. These kids don't need to wait until they're getting shot at to shoot back.
Absolutely. George, both of you have served in the Navy, and I got to be honest with you that I'd rather have dry land under my feet all the time, but being on a ship, a destroyer, being in dry dock in Pearl Harbor, that must have been absolutely, like you used the terminology earlier in the program, they were sitting ducks.
They were, and there's really no place to run or hide. That's a sad thing about it. There's sitting ducks on that, and they had no choice but to man their guns and do their damnedest to bring those Japs down.
It was early in the morning, and the United States evidently had no clue as to really how progressive this attack was going to be. And what would it be like to be in a camp, if you will, like Pearl Harbor, and all of a sudden the bombs start dropping and it's total chaos? You don't know where your commanders are, your leaders of your squadrons, whatever. I just can't imagine what that was like.
That had to have been horrifying, seeing your buddies getting killed and a lot of people dying and not be able to do nothing about it. And basically, it's about the same kind of scenario we got today. You got to wait for orders to shoot back, but a lot of them didn't. They took it upon themselves. But it had to have been horrific to sit there and watch your whole world go up.
Now, what ship, type of a ship were you on, George?
I wasn't. I was a dry land sailor.
You were a dry land sailor. Okay,
yes.
Larry, what about you?
I was on an aircraft carrier. It was named after the Battle of the Coral Sea.
I see. I got to ask you before I take a hard break, on an aircraft carrier, that is going to be a prime target. Did that ever worry you while you were in the service?
Not really, because of the escort ships and everything else that you had around. It was pretty hard to get in on the aircraft carrier. 2 big Russian bombers tried to fly over us one time, and we had 10 or 15 aircraft up in the air in just a couple of minutes, and they couldn't even get close to us. So, we was pretty well protected, and they have a submarine that's around them somewhere most of the time, but you're pretty well protected.
I want to ask both of you this question, being Navy men, and very, very proud to be a servant to the United States Navy. What did you think about the Iranian jets that were flying less than 35 feet above our ships in the Straits of Hormuz?
Well, they should have just blasted them out of the air and let it go at that. That's nonsense. Them guys should never, ever have put up with that.
George?
I agree. They should not intimidate you. We was in international waters. They should have took them out.
Well, and the same with the gunboats in the Straits of Hormuz, with the Iranians on these fast little, I don't even know what you call those little boats, but I guess they can go up to speeds of like 85, 90 miles an hour, and harassing our Navy. Isn't it about time that we said, that's enough, put thumbs down, and got rid of this problem?
It is, and I'm hoping that Trump will change this. They need to return that back to military, let them use their discretion.
Absolutely. We're going to have more in remembrance of December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor Day, with George Mass and Larry Cottam in just a moment. Before we send it back over to our main studios, I want to remind you more Christmas wishes from the Goodie Shop at 133 West Main in Burley, 647-0106. Shelley and the crew can make all kinds of different baskets, cookie baskets, fruit baskets, sandwiches, everything. The Goodie Shop, and the food is delicious. Goodie Shop, 133 West Main in Burley, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And the Burley Area Merchants Association, come find Bella the Elf hiding in 25 stores, beginning, well, they started actually back in November, and you put your name in the box if you find Bella, and they have weekly drawings, and you might be a lucky winner. Thanks to the Burley Area Merchants Association, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And the Fairfield Inn and Suites, 237 West 7th Street North in Burley. Hey, invite your relatives over to your house for Christmas, but get them a room at the Fairfield Inn and Suites of Burley so you don't have to share your bathroom. You better believe it. Fairfield Inn and Suites of Burley. Great rooms, nice people, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Right now, let's send it back over to our main studios. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back, and this hour we are paying tribute to our military, our great United States military that was attacked on December 7th, 1941 by the Japanese. Over 400 Japanese planes attacked Pearl Harbor. Over 400. This was a very well thought out and premeditated and well engineered attack by Japan, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. On the 29th of November, the new guru that took over Japan, the emperor, said that we will take no more negotiation with the U.S. on lifting the embargo.
Right.
And so they set out the 29th to bomb Pearl Harbor.
You know, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but a very calm, many movies have depicted what it was like on Pearl Harbor that morning, December 7th. Larry, do you think the movies that you have seen of the depiction of what happened, how accurate have they been?
I'm not sure. Usually they glamorize everything, but I think it was probably really chaos for a while. You know, these guys that was over on the beach and that and trying to get back to the ship and everything else. I think it was really chaos for a little bit.
Did they, the Japanese, in your opinion, try to primarily target what was going on in Pearl Harbor with just the ships and the naval base itself? Did they at any time really direct a lot of attention to the private housing on the island?
Their number one goal was the first place they're supposed to bomb is get the aircraft. They wiped out 300 or damaged 350 of our aircraft, keep them down.
Yeah.
The second target was where the ships was tied up. And one of the big mistakes they made on that was when our ships went down, it was in shallow water, and they had most of them back up, floating, got them resurrected back in.
Now, when you say shallow water, for those of us like myself that have never been to Pearl Harbor, what are you talking about as far as depth is concerned?
Oh, probably 100 feet, maybe.
Really?
Or less,
it was that shallow there?
Yeah.
Okay. And Larry, you were talking earlier about the American workers, and George and you talked a little bit during the break. I'm really impressed, not only with our military and bouncing back up off the canvas and attacking and winning the war, but the United States worker really jumped in and helped save the day, didn't they?
They did. They really come together, and you know, the women and men and everybody, and you know, we did a lot on the rationing and things like that to make sure our military was taken care of, make sure we had the stuff we needed to fight that war, but without the backing that we had from the American people, I don't believe we'd ever won that war.
What was it like that you have heard from perhaps older brothers and sisters or your family members? What was it like with the rationing, and what were some of the issues and items that really were cut back on?
Fuel was the number one. Just only allowed 10, 15 gallons of fuel a week.
Oh, my.
And the food supply, you got, basically the American people got what was left over.
I see. So there were a lot of restrictions at the grocery stores.
Yes, to everything that the U.S. produced. You know, a lot of stuff they converted from like say clothing for that to make military clothing.
Now, right there, I think is a really good point. I'd like both of you to elaborate on, then we'll take this call. But December 7th, the Japanese, do you suppose they had that in their thought also, December 7th, because it's not a growing season, basically, here in the United States?
I don't know whether that entered their thought or not.
But that really depleted our food sources.
It did. And the main reason, well, one of the main reasons we won World War II is because Germany and Japan, everything's running out of supplies, and God bless our American people that stepped up.
Yeah. Larry, quick remark on that.
Well, you know, we think about that as being kind of tough when you talk about rationing and stuff and that, but these people come from the Depression, and they was used to going without. So I don't think that was really that big a hardship. I remember my dad and mother talking about, you know, having to do without stuff, and they said it wouldn't make no difference how much money you had because you still couldn't buy it. But I don't think it was that big a problem to them at that time.
Yeah, the Depression was, what, less than 12, 14 years earlier?
Yes,
yeah.
Not very long before
right.
that. So,
caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I'd just like to ask the gentleman if they know if any of the planes made it back to their ships or if they all did the kamikaze thing.
You know, that's a really good question, and if you don't mind, I'll thank you for your call and have them answer it on the air. Go ahead. How many of the planes went back to the aircraft carriers, or were the bulk of the Japanese attack planes the kamikaze type to where they were going to come down in a suicide mission? What do you know about that?
From what I've gathered, most of them made it back.
They did go back to the carriers.
Yeah, there was had two... people got the planes up. They shot 6 down zone. They shot with our fighters, but majority of them made it back.
So the Japanese were not utilizing or using the kamikaze attack during Pearl Harbor because they maybe knew they need to keep the restoration of their Navy Air Force available for future attacks. Is that correct?
I think probably what they did on that kamikaze was try to catch the ships that were at sea and sink them that way. If they couldn't get them with the bomb, to try and get them down with the aircraft.
How vulnerable, I'll use that word, were the ships in World War II as far as the way they were made and security and guns, etc., as compared to today?
I don't know. Them old battleships was made pretty well. They was made out of good, sturdy metal at that time and everything, so I think it's just a difference in stuff they're made out of now that, and it's probably better and it's easier to get to people than that now, but I think them was probably pretty well made.
George, your thoughts on that?
I think the ships were in good quality, not the quality we've got today, nor the technology we've got today. The technology is the difference today.
Yeah, but when you think about technology, both of you, Larry and George, technology, the thoughts overnight. I mean, literally overnight, after the speech by Roosevelt, people must have just been sitting at the drawing boards and people in great big rooms sitting next to each other going, well, do you think this will work? Well, let's redesign this way. It must have been absolutely a hairy, scary type affair.
Yes, I agree. And it's... see, the radar was just new on the area then, and they detected the Japanese coming in. They thought there's B-17s coming off the west coast.
Really?
And it was something that radar's new technology and didn't really put a whole bunch into it, I believe.
Oh, my. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Good morning. I was stationed in Tachikawa Air Force Base. That was in 53, 54. And that was the base that the Japanese used to train the suicidal pilots. And they had already planned on us invading, they didn't plan on, but they suspected that someday they would be facing us there because they had trenches all over. We had trenches from one building to another, and you could go down in those trenches. We went down in there and we took airplane fuel and burned it in a gallon can just to stay warm. But they had already was ready for us.
Mm-hmm.
Now the whole community around there was geared towards catering to these pilots. They would cater to their last wishes, and so they were oriented toward being very, very kind to us. But one thing that impressed me during I was a kid when I was in the war, we would not have won that if it wouldn't have been for the whole country. I mean, the whole country came together. I remember the farmers, they didn't use a whole lot of fuel. They still had horses, and they were out there. I remember my father, he worked in the field with a plow and a team of horses.
Wow.
And they were saving fuel. You would even save the tinfoil off of the gun wrappers.
Oh, my.
And put it in a ball and take that in.
All right, well, Dwayne, I've got to get back here, but I do appreciate your call. You brought up some really good points we're going to talk about on the air. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. We'll take another caller real quick. Caller, go ahead quickly, and then I've got to do a weather forecast. You've got a minute. Go ahead.
Hello again. I'd just like to point out two things that were very, very rationed, and that was sugar and flour. And also, when you think about it, the massive shipyards that they had in Alameda, California, where my dad worked, along with his brother, Larry's dad, you know, at one time we had to live all together because of the housing situation.
Right.
And that was in San Carlos, California, and they had to drive from there clear to Alameda, which I don't know how many miles it is, but with gas rationing, it really put a bind on things.
Well, I appreciate your calling back, Keith. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. When I come back, I've got to do a weather forecast really fast, and I want to ask George and also Larry, you know, with the attack on Pearl Harbor and the loss of the airplanes, the loss of the ships, and quite frankly, the loss of Navy personnel and pilots, what about the training, literally overnight, of people to take over those jobs? I'll hit you with that in just a moment. Don't forget Scarro's Meats, and they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. And don't forget, they put together gift boxes for Christmas. Delicious meats. You call and tell them exactly what you'd like in those gift boxes. Oh, it is good. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. 324-7657. And here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy today because for the rest of the week it looks like it's going to be rainy and snowy. Mostly cloudy skies for today, expecting a high of 23, tonight low of 11. Tomorrow, 90% chance of snow showers are in the forecast, winds picking up out of the east, right around 15 miles an hour. High of 27, but an overnight low of 25. For Friday, rain showers are in the forecast, high of 41 with an overnight low of 31, expecting snow showers up on the higher elevations for Friday. Winds picking up on Saturday to about 20 miles an hour out of the southwest, partly cloudy skies, high of 35 with an overnight low of 23, and then for Sunday, partly cloudy and 34. Yesterday's high was 22, the overnight low was 8. That is your weather for Zebit Duran.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to everybody by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I want to ask both of you this question. I mean, we really weren't prepared for a major involvement in a world war with Japan and with the depletion of our resources over at Pearl Harbor. What about the training, Larry? I mean, what was it like to all of a sudden just throw people into the cockpit of a fighter plane and say, go fight?
Well, you know, that is interesting because 80% of the veterans was drafted. So that goes to tell you something that, you know, you brought these guys in and they did their job, but I don't think they probably wasn't getting all the good training as they do now. I think they just ran them through a real short course and them guys took care of themselves.
You know, I've read books, George, and stories about World War II and the pilots and the ground crews and everything, and it was kind of fly by the seat of your pants. That's what I've heard.
Yes, the airport at Pocatello trained a bunch of fighter pilots. They had some women pilots, but they wouldn't let the women fly in the military. So the women trained a majority of the pilots during World War II out of Pocatello. Also, there at Pocatello, they had the big, I don't remember the name of the base there, but they straightened the big barrels off these cannon rifles on these military ships, and they'd take them out. They had a railroad track going Pocatello out to the Arco Butte, and they'd test fire them out there and make sure the barrels were straight. Yeah.
You know, both of you, with your family's involvement in the war effort, etc., against Japan and possibly also Germany, what did they tell you about, you know, the Joe Common Citizen walking down the street one day and literally the next day he might be in the cockpit of a Mustang, P-51 Mustang? I mean, man alive, the transition in this country had to be unreal.
It was, especially for the foot soldiers, I think, and even the pilots. I've got acquainted with a few of these guys that was pilots during World War II, and, you know, they're just ordinary people in that, and they wasn't educated or anything else, but they trained them to do that, and they did a good job of it.
How long, we have a question, I'll take that, and then I want to talk to you about the timing. Caller, go ahead, you're on the air, please.
I just wanted to bring up another thing that was rationed big time was rubber. So you couldn't buy tires or get tires during the war. Anyway.
Okay.
Make that point.
Sir, very well said. Thank you very much. Another ration commodity, rubber tires, etc. But what about the people, being thrown into this position of overnight? They've literally had to go into the Army, the Navy, and the training and everything. The organization must have been absolutely phenomenal within our military to get everything started. What was the time frame from December 7th until when we had, perhaps, I'll use the word adequate fighting forces? How long did it take?
With the foot soldiers, I'm going to say maybe 10 days or 2 weeks.
Wow.
Teach them the basic, learn to shoot a gun, how to clean it, and ship them out. They was very, the resources weren't very good, or the training to give them the best equipment.
So basically you're saying in under 2 weeks for the foot soldiers?
Yeah, to get them out, to get them started. Then as we progressed into the war, then they trained them a little better, but they to get them on the line to fight. You kind of look at that the same as they did at the Alamo. You go in there and you go to fight, and you fight to win.
Let me ask you a question, and this is speculation, Larry. And what would have happened, in your opinion, had Japan hit Pearl Harbor on December 7th? And it was a very crippling attack. And then they somehow got the resources and the fuel and the gasoline to possibly hit the West Coast in the same manner.
I'm not sure we could have took that twice. Like I say, Japan underestimated us on that deal, but I don't know if we could have really handled that. And we could be speaking a different language at this time.
And licking that flag be the rising sun.
Yep.
Yeah. George, does it surprise you that the Japanese didn't really follow with a haymaker punch instead of just at Pearl Harbor initially?
No, because we stayed out of World War II for quite a while. And they figured, like I said, we didn't have the will to fight. It was a fortitude to fight very long to win. So they underestimated this. Something, if I may comment, we're talking about civilians. Saipan, when we took Saipan, thousands and thousands of Japanese people was killed, and they figured there's over 4,000, something like that, of civilians. They could not find the civilians. And when they did, they found a bunch of them dead. They're jumping off the cliffs because the Japanese told them that the American soldiers would rape, kill them, and this. So, we look at ISIS, how cruel they are, but they're the Japanese and Germans, all of them was the same.
I'm going to ask you both a question that I know is going to be hard to answer, and it's speculative in its nature. But if that same attack happened today, what are your thoughts about America? Larry?
I'm not sure we get people to stand behind us at this time. When you look at these guys that are turning their back on that American flag, and that's a slap in the face to veterans, I wouldn't want to stand alongside them guys. I really wouldn't.
So you think that because of the political climate and politically being incorrect in this country, we might be in trouble? I
do. Really do.
George?
I agree with Larry on that. We've become a nanny country. A lot of people, they want stuff given to them. They don't want to have to earn it or fight for it. They're not teaching stuff in our schools anymore. Any patriotism, what the flag means, none of that. And so it'd be a tough road to go. We'd have to depend on our military and our technology to fight it.
There's not the appreciation for what this country has gone through. There's not the appreciation for what your parents and grandparents gave up, literally their lives, their blood, sweat, and tears, for us to be here today. And 75 years ago on this day, December 7th, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and today I just wonder if even the school children across the United States are really hearing the truth about what happened today.
I don't think so. I think Larry will back me on this. We've spoke with different youth in our schools on different stuff, and they're hungry to learn. You're going to think you're going to teach them something. You don't. They're full of questions. They want to know why, how come, what if, and they're not being taught that.
Yeah. Larry?
Yeah, I remember I went into Burley High School one time to talk about Vietnam, and about half them kids kept looking at their watch to see how close it was to quitting time so they'd leave. And, you know, a few of them was really interested and asked a lot of intelligent questions, but half of them didn't care.
The Memorial of Pearl Harbor, have either of you been there?
No.
I've been by it, you know, when we sailed by it, and I spent a month in Hawaii one time, matter of fact, but I never did ever go out there see it.
There have been complaints that they being us, the United States government, and they've too commercialized the site. Have you heard that complaint?
I think that's probably right, and that's the way everything seems to be going nowadays, but I think that's probably right.
I agree. And if I may comment, Zeb, that Larry Cottam and I and the combat veterans, we did a flag retirement over at the White Pine Elementary. We had 900 students, 3 different classes of 300, and all through that whole procedure you could have heard a pin drop. Those young adults was just glued and impressed with it.
I'm going to have final thoughts here in just a moment with George and Larry, but I want to remind you about our major sponsor and thank them very much, and that's, of course, people that really are serving you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poteline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Make sure you check out the snow and ice traction tires right now today. It's cold out there, and don't forget the tire chains and have your battery checked. All of this and much, much more at all 7 locations of the best. With service to you and your safe driving, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 working and serving you. George, Larry, I want to say you've always been there when I've needed you on the air to talk about things. God bless both of you for your thoughts on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day today.
Thank you, Zeb. And we need to be blessed. The United States people needs to be blessed. We've never had to fight a war in our country. Our almighty military has taken the war other places, but if we don't get our heads out of our backside, that's going to change with the problems we're getting today.
I agree. Larry, final thoughts quickly?
We should never take our freedom for granted. You know, just voting in that, and I voted ever since I turned 21, and I'll keep voting until I die. But a lot of people say, well, it don't make any difference. Maybe it don't, but we still have that right, and we need to use it.
Absolutely. Larry Cottam, George Mass, 2 very dear friends of mine, United States Navy. They've served, they've fought for our country, and God bless both of them. And we honor today the happenings of the beginning of World War II with the war against Japan as we celebrate and remember Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 1941. Zeb Bell, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. The way things were are the way things ought to be.